Why do people disappear after getting close? You know what hurts the most. Not strangers leaving. We expect strangers to leave. But when someone slowly becomes part of your daily life, when their messages become your routine, when you start checking your phone hoping it's them, and then one day they slowly disappear like nothing ever happened, that feeling is different. It's confusing because there's no real ending. No explanation, no final goodbye. Just distance. And honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Why do people disappear after getting close? Because if someone truly cared. Why would they suddenly act cold? Why would they reply dry? Why would they slowly stop trying? And the worst part is, your mind keeps replaying everything, trying to find where things changed. Maybe I talked too much. Maybe I got too attached. Maybe I replied too fast. Maybe I became boring. You start blaming yourself for things you probably didn't even do wrong. I think that's what silence does to people. Silence creates fake answers in our head. Sometimes I sit there staring at old chats, wondering how someone who once wanted to talk to me every day can suddenly act like I barely exist. It's weird. One day they know every small detail about your life. The next day, they barely know your presence. And maybe some people are listening to this while pretending they don't care anymore, but deep down, you still think about them randomly. At night, during songs, while scrolling during quiet. Moments not because you're obsessed, but because humans get attached to consistency. When someone talks to you every day, your brain starts making space for them. And when they leave, suddenly, it feels empty, like something is missing from your routine. I think a lot of people disappear after getting close, because closeness scares them. At first, everything feels exciting. New conversations, late night talks, sharing secrets, sending random reels, talking about life. But once things become emotionally real, people panic. Because being close to someone also means responsibility. It means effort. It means being emotionally available. And honestly, not everyone is ready for that. Some people love attention more than connection. They enjoy the feeling of being wanted. But the moment emotions become serious, te pol Hawaii, not because you're a harto lao, but because they don't know how to stay. And that's painful to accept. Especially when you stayed genuine. Especially when your intentions were real. You know, it's funny. Sometimes people leave without even hating you. There's no fight, no betrayal, no big reason. They just slowly drift away. And you're left sitting there trying to understand something that was never explained. I think that's why emotional distance hurts more than arguments. At least, arguments give closure, but disappearing, that leaves questions. A lot of questions. And people like us, we keep searching for answers even after the person is gone. Maybe because we believed the connection meant the same. Think to them, maybe because they made us feel seen for a while. And when you don't usually feel understood by people, you hold on to the rare ones harder. Vivi noticed something though. The people who get attached deeply are usually the same. People who spend most of their time feeling emotionally alone. So when someone finally gives them attention, comfort, consistency, they naturally become important. Not intentionally. It just happens. And then when that person disappears, everything becomes quiet again. Too quiet. You still open the app. Still check notifications sometimes. Still hope they randomly text again. Even after telling yourself you moved on. And maybe that sounds pathetic to some people. But honestly, I think everyone has waited for someone who never came back. Some people just hide it better. I also think social media made connections feel temporary. People talk like soulmates for 2 weeks and disappear the next month. Everybody is replaceable. Now, new chats, new people, new distractions. And because of that, genuine connections became rare. People want emotional comfort without emotional commitment. That's why modern relationships and friendships feel unstable sometimes. Nobody says what they truly feel anymore. People disappear instead of communicating. They ghost instead of explaining. Because avoiding emotions became easier than facing them. But I want you to understand something important. Someone leaving does not automatically mean you were worthless. Read that again. Someone leaving does not automatically mean you are hard to love. Sometimes people leave because they're confused. Sometimes because they're emotionally unavailable. Sometimes because they're fighting battles they never talk about. And sometimes they simply weren't meant to stay forever. I know that answer feels unsatisfying. I know part of you still wants closure, a proper explanation, a final honest conversation. But life doesn't always give closure. Sometimes the only closure you get is acceptance that the version of them you miss might not even exist anymore. Acceptance that memories can stay while people change. Acceptance that not every connection is meant to last forever. And honestly, I'm still learning that too. There are days when I feel completely okay, and then suddenly one small thing reminds me of someone I stopped talking to months ago. A song, a message, tone, a time of day. And for a few seconds, everything comes back. I think healing is weird like that. It's not linear. Some days you feel detached. Other days you miss people you promised yourself to forget. But eventually, you start thinking about them less. The silence stops hurting as much. You stop checking if they texted. You stop rereading old conversations. And one day you realize you survived something you thought would destroy you emotionally. Not perfectly, but you survived it. And maybe that's growth, not becoming emotionless, but learning how to continue even with unanswered feelings. If you're listening to this right now, there's a chance you're not just watching for entertainment. Maybe you're here because someone changed suddenly. Maybe someone became distant. Maybe someone made you feel important and then disappeared without explanation. And maybe you're trying to act okay in front of everyone while quietly thinking about it at night. I understand that feeling more than you think. But don't lose yourself trying to keep people who already decided to leave. Don't spend your whole life begging for clarity from people who chose silence. The right people won't make you question your worth every day. And I know acceptance is hard, really hard, especially when your heart still waits for people your mind is trying to forget. But slowly, you'll get there. And maybe the fact that you're watching this video right now already proves something. You're trying to understand your feelings instead of running from them, and that matters. Because most people avoid their emotions completely. So if nobody told you this recently, I hope you heal from the things you never got an apology for. And I hope someday you meet people who stay. Not temporarily. Not only when they're lonely, but genuinely. Until then, take care of your heart a little. It's been caring a lot, silently.